And now a quick word from our sponsors here at Viral Hip Hop News.
Hey, yo, bring the fire all summer long with the Big Three and your homeboy Ice Cube. Starting July 10th on CBS, Thriller, and Fight TV. That's right, every Saturday. Bring the fire with the Big Three, baby.
And here from Viral Hip Hop News, letting my people know to go grab this bottle of miracle food right now. ChakraDoctor.org put together some of the best ingredients on God's green earth to help your immune system, give you a cleanse and reboot that your body deserves. Don't wait for your miracle. Grab it in Miracle Food right now. Let's go.
House of Lazenby 1970H is the continuation of the Lazenby family fighting for its independence in the criminal world from the mafia and the national agreement. This ongoing battle takes the Lazenby clan over international waters. Grab the House of Lazenby 1970H in the description box right now.
All of these articulations, different articulations of Islam and hip hop. And then what happens? There's a controversy, right? Jerry Heller and Brian Turner out in Los Angeles. They oversee the process from guys to niggas. You know, NWA, in the early NWA, was quite different from what NWA will morph into. NWA, as hard as its early lyrics were, NWA was born from the rubble of the crack holocaust in LA. That was ground zero for the crack holocaust in LA. The US government orchestrated crack holocaust in LA. So even the most social conscious hip hop coming out of late 80s LA was going to be very hard, very rugged, because it was born from the crack holocaust. But it was a very profound observation. But what happened? Jerry Heller and Brian Turner, two Jews, when they put their money behind Eazy-E and Dr. Dre, and so Dr. Dre didn't smoke weed, right? He famously said, rapped about not smoking weed, but what happens? 92 happens. The riots in LA happen. And Doug Morris, while LA is burning, Doug Morris, the Jew, Doug Morris, flies to LA, meets with Suge Knight. They are beginning to put Death Row Record. He commits money. Him and Jimmy Iovine commits money for Death Row Records. And the first production, while LA is still smoldering, Chronic is dropped. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden now, Dr. Dre is a big weed head. With just a couple years prior, he dismissed smoking weed. He didn't do it. And so now we have the rise of this weed-soaked music. Cypress Hill, when Cypress Hill dropped their record, they were the first ones to really celebrate weed smoking, but that only affected the suburban whites.
Okay.
It was Chronic that got black folks really smoking weed at that level, because the studies show that before the Chronic drop, young black people had the smoking of weed has receded tremendously among young people across the nation, especially black people. It had from the 60s and 70s, by the late 80s and early 90s, it had bottomed out. But when the Chronic dropped, and when you look at the Chronic, you got to look past Dr. Dre and even Suge Knight. You gotta look at Doug Morris, Jimmy Iovine, and Nigga Brofman, right? And with NWA, when they went from reporting the ravages of the crack epicenter to then they became a parody of self-hate, right? NWA became a parody of self-hate. They weren't authentic. Early they became authentic, and Ren and Dre tells us how inauthentic that early NWA performance was, with Jerry Heller and Ryan Turner directing them. And so we have the shift from gods to niggas. There was a lot of God talk, black God talk, in early hip hop. And then it became when the shadow, Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam shadow over hip hop became evident. Then you see these Jews really going in full gear in terms of changing the trajectory of hip hop.
Hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip bars is back. Hip hop, Sam and oh God, what's up with you? I done watched them niggas do interview after interview. They not culture vultures, the culture something they been into. So if you never gave them a view, I recommend you do. Cause when they question guests, they message is not subliminal. It don't matter if you a rookie.